Hi, how you doing? This is Christine Crowell here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something which I think is really important for us to start thinking about, because guess what? Gold and silver is holding its own. It really is. So today I want to talk to you about, are you holding enough silver to protect your family or to protect yourself? For example, with gold and silver, just really passing through. Gold is like at 3,000, over 3,074, $3,085 from when I last checked today. For example, silver is at $30.74 when I last checked as well. And I will do another check before I finish, but I really want to show you here. I want to talk to you about how we should be looking at this, because if you're sitting and waiting for silver to just grow, you could leave it too late. Okay, so silver is sitting, like I said, at $30.74. So this window of opportunity is getting tighter every single day. Look, let me tell you, when people are buying coins now, silver coins, for example, or gold, they're having to wait like 4 weeks sometimes for delivery. That's how demand is really growing. And when we're looking at this, it means that something's happening. So silver is the most undervalued wealth insurance on the planet right now. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how many ounces you should need, or you could look at building to really protect yourself and your family's future, or yourself, for example, or your friends, for example. Because the tariffs, there's lots of different things happening here that's causing the currency to really be devalued, for example. So in this video, I want to talk to you about why silver, why now? Why is it so important to do this now? You've had all this time to do this, for example, but maybe you didn't know about gold and silver and the precious metals, because we've always thought about stock markets, we've always thought about currency, right? So this gold and silver is something which I was doing from 2007, and it really, truly did work very, very well. So silver is more than just a precious metal. It is an individual. It's an industrial powerhouse. It's used for electronic vehicles, solar panels, medical equipment, and yes, it does have monetary value as well. This is held by the central banks around the world. So why are you not grabbing yourself some, if you haven't done so already? I did a video here yesterday about the coin that I got from a dealer, for example, a silver coin. And silver coins, you can buy like an ounce of silver coin for like $30, for example. Okay, there's a spot price and there's also the sell price as well. So while gold is grabbing the headlines, which it is, silver is quietly sitting behind the scenes, getting ready for an explosive run, for example. So history has shown us, if you look back at the history, for example, when gold rised, silver also follows as well. I always talk about the tortoise and the hare, because I do think that this is what's happening here. But often we're far more looking at the dramatic gains. It's as if we want instant gratification, but we've got to be in this for the long haul for it to truly work. So central banks, they're not going to tell you, but they are buying up silver, and silver is tightening now. So there's an industrial demand that is eating away, and the availability is really, we need to really stockpiling it, because the demand is going to be heavy for silver, more than what gold is. Once it gets to that mark, it's going to really explode and go past gold. That's what I truly believe. And bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm going by my research. I'm going by my listening to other experts, for example. But I also know from what I did in 2007, before the crash happened in 2008, how much it went up, for example. And the central banks, like I said, they're not going to tell you, because they want this silver. People are buying up silver. Wealthy people are buying up silver. The banks are buying up silver. The governments are buying up silver and gold, for example. The silver mines, the stock is depleting. They've only got like worldwide 20 years supply, for example, 20 to 25 years supply, unless they find new gold and silver mines, for example. But that takes time. It's not going to be something that's going to be available straight away. So like I said, the central banks, they don't want you to know this. They're hiding it from you, because this is what's keeping the price low. But now silver is being recognized as a commodity as well, not just an industrial or plant or manufacturing piece of material, for example. So how much silver though do you really need? Let's think about this. I'm just going to sip my tea here. So how much silver do you think that you need? So let's go to the numbers, shall we? How much silver do you actually need to protect yourself, your family, for example? I'm going to go through a simple guide with you today. Now, I do have a video where I talk about the stacking planner that I've got, where you can actually put your gold that you buy, the ounces, or silver that you buy, for example. It is a 10-year stacking plan, for example, and I think it's really a good thing to use as well, not just because I made it, but just as a point for you to see the results, because there's nothing better than finding, buying, your coins, things like this. You're buying your coins. This is a silver coin, for example, and it's got the crest on there. It's Queen Elizabeth Australian coin, for example, 0.999 fine silver, for example. But there's nothing, it feels so good when you buy a piece of silver, and then when you put it on your stacker, you'll get to see things grow and build up as well. So then you get the gratification that you're seeing growth of what you're actually building, for example. Now I'm waiting for a case to come so I can put my coins in there as well. So today we're going to talk about this guide, for example, and what you could truly use as a guide, for example. So the goal here is, right, you're looking at an emergency buffer, which takes 3 to 6 months, for example. It depends really on what your affordability is. So silver, I'm referring to, which is about $30 per ounce, for example. So emergency buffer, 3 to 6 months. That's 300 to 500 ounces of silver. Now, a full year of living protection, for example, is 1,000 to 1,500 ounces of silver, for example. Now, if you're looking at building wealth transfer, legacy planning, let me tell you something. There's a lot of family offices, a lot of wealthy millionaires, billionaires, for example. They're actually selling gold and buying silver, not all of their gold, but buying a lot of silver with that, because they know that silver is going to explode. So back onto the wealth transfer and legacy planning, you will need about 2,500 to 5,000 ounces of silver, for example, and then generational wealth strategy is about 10,000 ounces or more. Now, I mentioned in a video earlier that a couple of days ago that a billionaire brought like he paid 300 million, for example, in silver. Instead of buying gold, he brought silver. His name's David Bateman. I do have a video here. You can check out my playlist, for example, and see for yourself. Now, why would they be buying this? If silver was of no value, why would they be buying it? Why would the central banks be buying it? Why would the reserves be buying it? Why would the government be buying it? Why would people, billionaires, millionaires, and everyday people be buying silver? It's because they know that it is worth something, it's valuable, but also they also know that it has a dual purpose, which in the end is going to make it a lot stronger than actual gold. That's my belief. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, then you need to speak to an expert who is a financial advisor. I'm just an everyday kind of girl that is woman that is buying silver, for example. So imagine this, right? If silver hits $100 per ounce, how will you feel then? How will you feel? Well, you feel good, right? If you brought coins, for example, you bought ounces of silver at $30, for example, which is absolutely possible. And in the coming cycle, just 1,000 ounces could give you 6-figure silver stack worth 100,000. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's real financial security. That's sleeping well at night. So you've got, instead of having it in the bank, for example, see what you can do, for example. Now, if you're looking at a retirement, because at the end of the day, we don't know what our retirement's going to be and whether there will be a retirement money. And I'm not scaremongering, I'm just thinking out loud, which is what I'm sure a lot of people are thinking the same thing. You know, will we actually get the full pension, or will it be a very small amount, or will we have a reduced amount because of the stock market crashing, for example? So just think about this. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is silver versus gold. So now, why am I focusing more on silver than what I am on gold right now? It's quite simple. Gold preserves wealth. Silver multiplies in a bull market, for example. Silver has always been known as the working man's gold. Did you know that? It's affordable, it's accessible, for example, and explosive when the demand surges. So central banks are stacking gold. Smart individuals, they're stacking silver because the upside is to really think about that silver may seem too good to be true to ignore, especially at this price. Now, someone mentioned in a comment, they said earlier that I read, they said that cash is the poor man's debt, silver is the wise man's gold, and gold is the government's wealth, or something like that. Now, I truly believe that the smart way is silver because of the price. If you can buy something for $30, for example, and then it could be worth $100, then that is a good markup. Like the coin that I got, for example, I got it at $30 and it's worth around, say, 30. It already increased by $5, for example, but it's between, because there's the low, middle and high value. So the low value was 35, the middle value 40, and the high value 60, for example. So like I said, central banks are stacking gold. Smart individuals, they're stacking silver because the upside is too good to ignore. The price is good and it is becoming explosive. Look, it's surviving during this turbulent time. The stock markets are crashing and yet it's still standing strong. Yes, it went down a couple of weeks ago, but it bounced back up again. And same with gold as well. So it stands the test of time, always has done. It used to be the monetary system before currencies were even invented. So I believe that we're going to be going back to that because of this currency situation. We don't know, and I can only speculate. So if you need help, for example, so set your monthly target. For example, 100 ounces a month. Now, when I mention this, it's about what you can afford. Like if you can only afford 1 ounce a month, then you get 1 ounce a month at $30, for example. Okay. But eventually, maybe you'll be able to afford 100 ounces a month, for example, or whatever your budget really allows you, because you're not meant to really put yourself in stress, for example. Treat it like your family's insurance policy. That's what you need to do with this. So if you need help, I have created a free stacking calculator that you can download. I will put it in the description after this video. For example, I do have a video of where I show you how to use the stacker calculator, and it'll show you exactly how many ounces that you need to accumulate over time based on your monthly budget. Now, it's important that you look at what your monthly budget is, to sit down and to write out what your monthly budget is, what you've got left over to be able to purchase your ounces of silver, for example. Look, we're living through, it's like history repeating itself. It really is. I'm going to be 60 in a couple of months, for example, and I've been through 3 recessions, and I class this as the 4th recession. Even though they really haven't said, look, we're in a recession. This is it. But yet, I'm sure we all can see the signs. I can, and I'm sure you can too. So, ask yourself today, for example, how many ounces of silver are you currently holding at the moment? I'd love for you to really think about how many ounces of silver are you currently holding at the moment, and is it enough to protect your family's future? What do you think? So if you found this video valuable, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone that you feel that would benefit and that you care about, and hit the subscribe button so that you'll never miss a critical update in the silver and gold market, for example. check the links below for the stacking calculator, and also my recommendation for dealers to do with gold and silver, for example, and stack smart. That's one thing that you need to do, and I'm waiting to see you in the next video. But I really just want to quickly go through this with you, for example, with regards to your stacking of your silver, for example. Now, remember I spoke earlier on in the video saying how much silver, where I mentioned what your goal is. So think about, what is your goal? What is your emergency goal? The 3 to 6 months, for example, emergency buffer, 300 to 500 ounces, for example, of silver. Full year living protection, 1,000 to 1,500 ounces of silver. And then if you are looking at wealth transfer legacy planning, 2,500 to 5,000 ounces of silver. And then generational wealth strategy, you're looking at 10,000 ounces or more, for example. Whatever it is that you're able to afford. People are buying gold and silver, and even the silver deliveries are taking like a month, 6 weeks, for example, to arrive. So bear in mind, and then when you purchase, it's when they send it out to you, that is the price that you'll be paying. So just think about that, because the price could go up slightly, for example. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video today, and I really wanted to share this live with you today and to go through you building your growth. Yeah, one kilo of silver. Do you know something? It is so important, because we're missing out. We really are. People are buying silver like no one's business. But you know what? I've got a secret source. And what I do is, and I'm going to give you this information, if you can buy scrap gold or scrap silver, for example, but you need to make sure that you have tested it to make sure that it is real, for example, and that it does hold the trademarks, for example, then you could even look and speak with, I'm going to put some links here for refinery companies, depending where you are in the world. But there are refining companies that will smelt your gold or silver that you collect. And remember, I've been speaking about doing scrap gold parties, silver parties, for example, where you get someone to host a party, they bring people to that party, you bring the wine, the chips, for example. When I say chips, I mean crisp. If you're in the UK, we say crisp. If you're in America, you say potato chips, peanuts, for example. And you then you look at what the spot price is, and then guess what? You then offer 30% less than the spot price, because it's old jewelry, broken jewelry, earring they've lost the other pair to it, for example, broken chain, for example. The list goes on. You really can do this, you know, even though there could be a 4-week waiting list if you're going to order it online. I would go and visit your local dealer, for example. Go and visit them and see what they have to offer. I'm going to put a link here anyway, because you may not be able to get out to go and visit your local dealer, for example. But I'll put a link here of gold and silver bullion, for example, company, very reputable. It's JM Bullion, for example, very well known. And also, I'm going to put the silver and gold stacker calculator here for you to be able to, you know, really look at put in the gold or silver that you purchase, for example, and put it on your stacker. Now, I've got a stacker that I showed you the other day where there's a percentage. How much percentage are you going to have of gold? Well, I would rather have all silver, or 10% gold and 90% silver, for example, because I really am expecting this silver to explode. So I'm sharing this with you because I'm seeing the gold and silver just going up in value, for example, on a daily basis. Even though we're facing tariffs, we're facing a lot of inflation, for example, but this is the way that you can beat it. This is the way that you can start building for your future. For example, even your retirement 10-year strategy. That's what I'm doing, and I'm going to share that with you as well so that you can see, and we can do it together. We can build our own vault. We can build our own wealth. We can build our own silver and gold reserves. Don't leave it for the big companies, the government organizations to create your wealth. You create your wealth and start building it today just by buying one silver coin at $30 an ounce, for example, for a silver coin. And imagine that that silver coin is going to be worth, say, $100 and you've paid $35. So that is a massive growth plan, isn't it? You see, the recessions have always been there. There's nothing new apart from all of this. I mean, this tariff thing, that happened a long time ago, and it didn't do very well. But gold and silver still stands the test of time. It will always grow. It won't shrink. Even look, people are even worried about crypto, aren't they? Because of the stock market, etc. Your stocks, people are worried about that going down and down and down. So we've got to look at what is the best, strongest thing that we could have, and that is gold and silver. And silver is the most common sense one because of the price. And the experts are saying that eventually silver will meet gold. Even though it's the tortoise at the moment, silver will actually meet the gold. And we will get there. You just got to play that waiting game, because there's always a bull market between 7 to 12 years, for example. And I know it seems like a long time, but believe me, take it from me, I'm going into my 6-10 year. It goes fast. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's session. I look forward to giving you further trainings and further talks on gold and silver, and I'm going to be enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in your silver and gold. Are you building? Have you started, or are you just starting now? And check out my videos. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.